Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about Death of a Unicorn. We are also going to have our typical On the Horizon segment and an On Beat segment with a few news stories and trailers to go over. Let's get started with On the Horizon.
On the horizon. On the horizon.
On the Horizon is where we talk about shows, movies, games, anything that's coming up in the next week or so. And we're going to start things off with Alien Earth. You're excited for this one, right?
I'm excited for it, yeah.
Tuesday, August 12th on FX and Hulu.
I saw IGN gave it a 9. So.
Yeah, I'm still baffled that this is Noah Hawley. In like the best way. Like I'm baffled but excited, you know?
I'm excited too. Yeah.
Butterfly, this is a new series with Daniel Day Kim that's like an espionage show, is coming to Amazon Prime on Wednesday, August 13th. Fixed, which is that adult comedy animated movie from Gendry Tartakovsky that stars Adam Devine, Catherine Hahn, and Idris Elba, amongst others. It's about like a dog who's gonna get fixed and having like one last night on the town with his friends, his other dog friends. It's kind of like Strays, but looks a little bit less inspired. And that's coming on Wednesday, August 13th to Netflix. Sausage Party Foodtopia, the spin-off TV series of the movie for its second season, is returning on Wednesday, August 13th on Amazon Prime. Red Sonja, I know you're excited about this movie, is coming on Wednesday, August 13th to theaters. Drag X Drive is coming on Thursday, August 14th to the Switch 2. This is the wheelchair basketball game with no personality, unfortunately. Madden NFL 26 is coming on Thursday, August 14th to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch 2. I normally wouldn't even mention a Madden game on the Horizon. The reason I brought it up is because I believe this is the first day-and-date multi-plat on the Switch 2. I could be wrong. At least the first major third-party multi-plat day-and-date on Switch 2. Night Always Comes, which is a new movie. We almost talked about the trailer, I think, last week, but ended up cutting it from our discussion. That's going to be a new movie. It stars Vanessa Kirby from the Fantastic Four. She's a woman who's going through an increasingly stressful day, including like dealing with her, mentally handicapped brother and her irresponsible mother and everything like that. That movie's coming on Friday, August 15th to Netflix. Mostly mentioning that because it's got Vanessa Kirby, who's now our new Sue Storm in Fantastic Four. The Rainmaker, which is a new TV show adaptation of the John Grisham novel, is coming on Friday, August 15th to USA, and then the next day on Peacock. And Nobody 2 is opening on Friday, August 15th in theaters. That's, of course, the sequel to Nobody, which stars Bob Odenkirk and Christopher Lloyd, amongst others, where he's like John Wick, but he's old, but he's a middle-aged guy. Which Keanu Reeves is also he's 60, so... But plot-wise, it's about him being a middle-aged nobody who's actually got a past. And that sequel is coming Friday, August 15th to theaters. That is it for our On the Horizon segment. And now we're moving on to On Beat. On Beat. On Beat is our news segment, and we're going to start out with some news stories before we move on to some trailers. First news story is that Mark Ruffalo and Michael Mando have been confirmed for Spider-Man Brand New Day, reprising their roles. Mark Ruffalo reprising as Hulk, and Michael Mando reprising as Scorpion. He had a very small role in Spider-Man Homecoming, the first Spider-Man movie in the MCU. Very small role.
Very end.
More like a setup for him to be in something later. And so we're finally going to see him in this next one. We already know that the Punisher is going to be in this movie. So we got quite a few players in here.
Yeah, John Bernthal's reprising the Punisher for this movie. Apparently the rumors of the leaked script that had Punisher teaming up with Spider-Man to take on the Hulk might actually be true.
It's interesting that Michael Mando, I think when he was in the first Spider-Man movie in Homecoming, he was kind of unknown at that point. And then since then, we have like Better Call Saul. And he's become a more recognizable face.
Raised his profile, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see kind of like how they utilize him here, you know, if they give him a lot more to chew on, you know?
I'm interested to see too. And yeah, not surprised by Mark Ruffalo. There is apparently like a tradition or a mandate.
Throw an Avenger into every Spider-Man movie?
Every Spider-Man movie has to have an Avenger, a major MCU character in there mentoring Peter.
We've talked about it before, that we thought it would be an interesting idea if they flipped the script and made it him being the mentor role for like a lesser known hero figure or something. A new hero.
Oh, yeah. You know? A new hero,
we said like Shang-Chi would have been a kind of cool addition in that direction.
Would have been cool, yeah, especially since Destin Daniel Cretton is directing the Spider-Man movie. It's not the director of the previous 3 movies anymore. And, you know, Destin Daniel Cretton directed Shang-Chi, so that's what I thought first, but like Mark Ruffalo, Hulk, that's an interesting choice. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, obviously, I think we're going to see Punisher in a very different context.
Yes.
Than what we've seen him in. And in the comics, he interacts with these bigger characters and stuff, but like, we've only seen Punisher in any of the movie adaptations as like a street level kind of guy.
Yeah,
and
a street level kind of guy, and we've only seen him in Marvel Universe interacting with the street level stuff, you know, like.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even besides the MCU stuff, like Daredevil and stuff, I mean, even like the other movies that have been made for Punisher have always been very him versus organized crime and stuff.
Right,
it's never been like superheroes and shit. Like,
it's never been superhero stuff, yeah.
Like, he didn't even face off against people like Luke Cage or anything in the MCU stuff.
Right,
like, they never even pitted him against superpowered people that were in that part of the universe. No. So it'll be really interesting to see him hanging with Spider-Man and Hulk.
Yeah, that's why I'm most excited to see Frank Castle, like, in this context, you know, like, with the more fantastical elements of, you know, the New York
for sure
MCU. Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff's interesting. It's also like, I think for Hulk, this is a grittier movie than normal. I think for Punisher, this is like a more family-friendly movie than normal, or like,
more family-friendly property.
So it's kind of like this weird, like, middle ground meeting point or something. So I'm excited about how they're going to do that. It's also a good chance for them to really show how strong, like, Spider-Man is, because Spider-Man's one of the stronger characters, but in the Spider-Man movies, he really has to hold back and stuff, because he's fighting basically against regular people usually. But here if he's going to be going up against, like, the Hulk, he's going to have to, like, actually not pull his punches. And I think the closest we've seen to that was in Infinity War or Endgame.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Spider-Man can definitely, like, not pull his punches. He's at Hulk level, so, like, I don't know how that's gonna play out.
He's not Hulk level, but it'll be interesting to have him not pull his punches.
Oh, yeah.
Be interesting to see him, like, punch somebody and send him flying or something in a way that he never would.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to the movie. The movie's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. Our next news story, This Week in Zaslav is back. We need, like, a whole audio cue for this. Make like a musical
loud,
sequence.
audible sigh.
That's the theme for this segment.
That's the theme, yeah. That's just This Week in Zaslav, loud sigh. Because you know, like, the stuff following that is not going to be good.
So we knew that Zaslav hated cartoons.
Yeah.
And now he's proven it. HBO Max has removed all of their old Cartoon Network shows. Basically, like, Cartoon Network legacy shows.
This isn't like a spontaneous thing. I should point out, this has been happening gradually for a year or so, maybe like the last 2 years, where one show was getting delisted off of HBO Max. So the news today is like the final legacy Cartoon Network show, which I believe is Courage the Cowardly Dog, got delisted off of HBO Max. So like now, with that delisting, none of the old Cartoon Network legacy shows are available on HBO Max.
It's such a shame because Warner Bros. has one of the best animation studios. Warner Bros. Is known for animation, and it's like he's really trying to create like a distance there, and it's
it's like really weird, like animation like built that studio. It's so dumb.
It's like when he got rid of the music catalog, too. It's like Warner Music was a huge part of their portfolio, and it's very short-sighted to get rid of that. Now they're going to have to pay to license the music from the people that they sold it to.
Yeah, like the Looney Tunes built that studio, and he's canceled 2 of them for tax write-offs, sold them off to other companies to release.
Yeah.
He is such a shithead. I really hate him.
Yeah. Our next news story, let's pick it up, a little upbeat. Let me get a smile from you, Will. Let me hear a smile on this podcast from you for this next
Hear a
story.
smile? Okay, this better be good.
Matt Smith is set to play the villain in Ryan Gosling's Star Wars Starfighter movie.
Yeah, that piques my interest. I admit, I don't really have an interest in, like, Star Wars stuff too much.
I've mostly lost interest too. This looks like it's going to be mostly standalone, which makes it a little bit more more likely to be something I can enjoy.
I saw that and I was like, because I didn't even know about this movie, to be honest. I didn't know this was moving forward.
I wonder if this is like,
I didn't know Ryan
Gosling
was doing a Star Wars
movie
film.
or whatever.
I think so.
They were going to do that Rogue Squadron movie and that fell apart. I wonder if this is basically trying to fill that space.
The news is Matt Smith is playing the villain.
Yeah.
The rest of it, Ryan Gosling's Star Wars Starfighter was already known. But I didn't know about
but it
that.
kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, Matt Smith, okay, he's good. I like him. I like Ryan Gosling. I like this cast. Maybe this will be good.
I think it looks like it's kind of mostly standalone, which makes it more interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars is such a mess, in my opinion.
Trying to be the start of a new trilogy.
Yeah.
Presumably.
But that's it for our regular news stories, and now we're going to move on to trailers. We've got 4 trailers to go over. We're going to start things off with Witchboard, which is a new horror movie starring Vecna from Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, Vecna.
Jamie something Bauer, I don't know. I can't remember his name.
More like Witchboard.
But this is a Red Band trailer, so you get some gore in it.
Yeah, you get some gore.
Face removal.
It looks like a fun horror movie. You can't ask for much more than that. I watched the movie, I was like, yeah, this looks like a real fun horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, even just the gore is extreme to the point of being kind of comical, in in a good way, not in a
not
way, but in an Evil Dead kind of way.
Yeah, in a neat Sam Raimi type way.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
and this kind of gives me a little bit of those Sam Raimi vibes. It does have that. The thing that immediately sprung to mind watching this trailer was Drag Me to Hell, especially that first scene with the hands coming up and grabbing the woman who's the protagonist. I thought okay, that reminds me of Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah.
Which was a Sam Raimi
but
film.
It's Drag Me to Hell is a PG-13 horror, and this is this looks hard R.
Yeah, this is definitely hard R. Yeah.
But
which is weird, they hired Sam Raimi to do a PG-13 horror film. Yeah.
It was a different time. Horror films really weren't back in at that point.
No, they weren't.
The horror industry is thriving right now. It's a big part of the total box office returns in movies right now is horror. So it used to be something that was regulated to Halloween. We would get 2 horror movies around the vicinity of Halloween, and now it's all year long. Half the movies in theaters are horror movies now.
Yeah, right. It's doing such big business.
Yeah, for relatively low budgets usually too, which is a big part of it.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of horror, we got another horror. This one looks more on the kind of horror adventure comedy kind of side of things.
Yeah, more horror. It's got Stranger Things alum in it, Joe Keery. So
this is one Cold Storage, which looks like they're kind of doing the same kind of zombie take as The Last of Us, a fungus zombie kind of thing.
This looks like The Last of Us by way of Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's got those vibes, right?
We've had a lot of comedic kind of zombie, comedic tinged zombie movies, and this is a comedic tinged zombie movie with a Last of Us style zombie.
Yeah, with this outbreak that's apparently fungus based.
Yeah. Again, lots of gore.
Lots of gore. You see lots of gore in this trailer already, heads exploding, all kinds of stuff happening.
I love just the one shot when the girl's I don't feel so good, and her top of her head just explodes, and
top of her head. Yeah.
and Joe Keery and another girl are what the fuck?
Yeah, half of the trailer is just Joe Keery and his friends just responding to something insane that happens in front of them.
Yeah, definitely. It's lighter kind of horror comedy kind of looks so Zombieland type vibes, I guess.
Yeah, Zombieland vibes. Yeah, exactly. It's a horror comedy.
Yeah, so that looked pretty good. Next movie we got a trailer for was Adulthood. This stars Josh Gad, and it's him, and I think it's his sister. At first I thought it was his spouse, but then I watched again, and I'm I think it might be his sister, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that. They don't really clarify it that much. Basically, they go back to one of their child homes, or both of them if they're siblings, I guess, and find a little family secret. which is that their mom apparently murdered somebody. Might be a serial killer. I think they made a point of saying serial killer at one point. I don't know if that's the case or if it was just a single person that she had killed, but they find a dead body in the wall in the basement where they used to play as kids. The girl says she lost her virginity there, and Josh Gad says he used to play PlayStation in that basement all the time, not knowing that there was a dead body in the walls this whole time.
Yeah, the actress is not related to Josh Gad.
I know that the actress isn't. I'm just saying I don't know if the character is his sister or his wife. I don't know.
I think the character's supposed to be his sister. That's what I got from the trailer, but okay.
Yeah, like the first time I watched, I thought they were a couple, and the second time I watched I was like, I think they're supposed to be siblings or something.
And it's funny because, like, I was watching this trailer, I was like, oh, wait, wild Anthony Kerrigan shows up.
Yeah, I love Anthony Kerrigan. I love that he's getting more work. He's so fantastic.
Yeah, he is awesome.
Yeah, he's great. I hope he shows up in more DCU stuff. He was great in Superman. He was even great in the new Bill and Ted movie.
Oh, yeah.
He played the robot assassin guy from the future. So yeah, adulthood looks great. Talk about random cameos. We didn't mention this from Cold Storage, but Liam Neeson in Cold Storage.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Liam Neeson is in Cold Storage. That's right. I thought it was going to be a Liam Neeson film.
So we got Vecna in Witchboard. We've got Frank Drebin in Cold Storage. And we've got NoHo Hank in Adulthood.
We got and we got Joe Keery in Cold Storage too. So
yeah,
I forgot his Stranger Things name.
God, I can't remember it either for some reason.
Yeah.
What about his character from Fargo? Do you remember the name of his character from Fargo?
Steve Harrington. Yeah, Steve Harrington.
Steve Harrington.
So we got Vecna in Witchboard and Steve Harrington in Cold Storage.
I didn't notice any Stranger Things alum in Adulthood. I could be wrong.
No, I didn't. We can pretend Anthony Kerrigan is one, I guess.
But this looks funny. Adulthood looks funny. It looks like there was another trailer we reacted to a while ago that was like about, I think it was like a gay couple and they were vacationing and they kept accidentally killing people.
Yes, I remember that trailer.
So it's like similar vibes to that going on here.
Yeah.
Basically.
Because they find this corpse hidden in their childhood home, and instead of like reporting it, they decide to just further try to bury like the evidence of anything happening, and they stupidly like just throw the corpse into like a creek or something, and then it gets found, and then that kicks off an investigation, and already like they're the main suspects.
Yeah.
and things spiral out of control there because there's apparently people who already knew that their mother was like a murderer, like she told some people. Now they're trying to like extort them, and then they hire Anthony Kerrigan to intimidate him, and Anthony Kerrigan looks like he's like another completely like unhinged figure, and so they just make things worse and worse for themselves.
Yeah,
like as these
kind of like dark comedies like that. You get stuff like Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
Yeah.
They're great. There's two, they're kind of similar vibes we've gotten trailers for but I like this kind of horror comedy type thing, so this is good. And then the last trailer we got this week is for Rental Family, which is very different from the other ones. The other ones we all mentioned were all kind of like horror, almost, even Witchboard's kind of a little bit on the comedic edge, you know?
This is like what I would classify as a dramedy, because there's some comedy involved. And it's about like a real social phenomena that exists in Japan. The situations, the people that they're going through, like, exist everywhere, but, like, the service that this is about, like, is a service that's uniquely Japanese.
Yeah.
It's about this rental agency that rents out actors to be companions to people who, like, are lonely or who are missing something, whether that being a child who wants a father or some lonely person who just wants somebody to be their friend, to somebody like who wants somebody to like be their date, you know?
Yeah, like an escort without the sex aspect.
Yeah,
that's about loneliness.
Yeah, about loneliness. And it's about that agency, and it's about Brendan Fraser, who signs up with this agency as an actor to fulfill these roles. And then we follow Brendan Fraser as he goes on these assignments, spends time with these people, and we get to know like about these people and their troubles, their feelings through Brendan Fraser. And it looks like very heartfelt, very touching, very comedic. So the situations that do come up are comedic. So it looks really cool.
Yeah.
It's really different.
That's Rental Family. If you want to see a little bit more about this, like the concept of this, there's a episode of Conan Without Borders where he goes to Japan and he does it. He just does it as a comedy bit. Like it doesn't like explore, you know, the aspects of it.
Right, yeah.
But he rents a family in Japan. Like he actually does that. So this is a real thing. I mean, I'd heard about this even before the Conan bit, you know, this is
same. Yeah.
something that been going on.
I've known
for a
about
while.
this like for a while, yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if with this movie, with the skit that Conan did, with more awareness, if we're actually going to see this kind of thing pop up in other places in the same way like we have like cat cafes and stuff in like around the country now.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
Where that was like a very Japanese thing, and now you can go to like Los Angeles and go to a cat cafe. And in Japan, they're like, cat cafe, that's passé, you know, that's all old. We have like owl cafes and like weird exotic animal cafes now and stuff. I wonder if we're gonna start getting rental family stuff happening in other countries. Just because I think with the pandemic, there's a lot of people that are just kind of lonely and miserable everywhere now.
Yeah, I think so too.
But that is our last trailer, and that ends our news segment, and that leaves only full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, we are talking about Death of a Unicorn, which is available to watch on HBO Max, I believe.
Yes,
and
HBO Max.
yeah, this is the directorial debut of a director named Alex Sharfman, who actually, oddly enough, worked, I think, like as a production assistant for Eggers. So,
Oh, okay. Huh.
if you want to know why there's so much stuff about more accuracy with the unicorns,
They really go into like unicorn lore in this movie.
yeah, wonder no further. Eggers' influence. Yeah, so I'd seen this before. I'd even talked about it in an On Beat segment or On Tap segment where I
Yeah, you
talked
gave
about this
your
briefly.
impressions, but like refresh us again because it's been a while since like that. So just refresh us on your overall thoughts on this film.
I thought it was an okay film. I thought it had interesting aspects to it. I did like the kind of father-daughter relationship that's front and center. I thought that all the kind of side characters and stuff, like the rich family and stuff, they're very well played. They're very just like typical like despicable rich people, you know?
Yes.
And their servants are also good. Again, you mentioned Anthony Carrigan.
Yeah, that's why I said like Anthony. I was surprised because like I watched the movie and I watched trailers. I was like, "There's Anthony Carrigan again."
Jessica Hines is another one of the servants.
Yeah.
She was in Shaun of the Dead and
Here's a
Space.
John Ed, yeah. Taya Leone was in this. I hadn't seen her in anything in ages.
She used to have that like sitcom or something where she
Yeah,
played
she
like
was-
the wild young girl. Was it Wild at Heart or no? It wasn't Wild at Heart. That was a movie. It had a similar name to that. It was like something about she was supposed to be like this wild young girl that the guy was dating or something, and that was like a sitcom. That's what I remember Tia Leone from. And
that's what I remember.
And you got Adam Warlock.
Yeah, The Naked Truth. That was the name of the show.
Yeah, you got Adam Warlock.
Yeah, more like Will Poulter
and old Loki.
Just Will Poulter putting in like a fantastic performance.
Yeah,
in old Loki,
as a unicorn horn junkie. Yeah,
a unicorn horn junkie. Yeah,
and Richard E. Grant, who we probably best know now as old Loki from the first season of Loki.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Glorious Purpose. But yeah, he played the patriarch of the rich family. So I've seen this before. I mentioned like there's some fun aspects to it. I liked what they did with the lore in it. I think some of the effect shots were kind of cool. I kind of liked the whole weird cosmic angle they took with like the unicorn powers. I thought it was interesting, but they only just kind of hinted at it.
The unicorns were interesting. I liked the unicorns' designs, the way that they appeared like monstrous when they were in a rage and then like less monstrous after they were pacified.
I think Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega can carry movies on their own each.
Oh yeah, they're so good. My biggest complaint with Paul Rudd is I think they were like way too heavy-handed with him being like a total ass for like most of the movie.
Yeah.
Where like when he comes around, it's like, okay, yeah, like when he gets to the point where he comes around, but it's like...
I think it makes sense though, because he's just got so hyper fixated on what he needed to do to take care of his daughter that he...
Yeah, he's so hyper fixated. Yeah, exactly. But like there's multiple parts where he's completely disregardful of her to the point where it doesn't even seem like it's for her. Like you said, like it's all for him. Like he's out for himself.
Yeah,
for like
but
most of the movie.
I think they did a good explainer about that, of saying like he was just so hyper fixated on securing enough wealth to kind of take care of her so that she could have these opportunities that he lost track of why he was doing it in the first place.
Yeah, and poor Jenna Ortega is like, her character's plight through the whole movie is she has no allies.
Yeah.
Like nobody on her side. It's horrible for for her.
Yeah. Will Porter is probably the biggest ass.
Yeah, the biggest ass. They're all assholes, but he's the biggest one. He's also basically the film's main villain, because he's the one that survives to the end and gets stabbed in the chest by, by Paul Rudd.
Yeah, and then upon his death, kills Paul Rudd, too.
And then finally gets fucking face stomped by the unicorn. They all have brutal deaths, though. Those unicorns are, really brutal. And, the way they tear people apart, tear out people's entrails, crush skulls.
Felt bad for the doctor characters.
I felt bad for a doctor character, too, because he didn't really do anything.
Both of them, him and his assistant, who was also a doctor, both of them got, brutally killed for very little reason.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the deaths, I think, that I was like, oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I'm glad that Griff survived.
Yes!
Just because it's Anthony Carrigan.
It's so hilarious.
I just loved when he finally took off. He was putting up with it for so long, and then he's just like, oh, I'm leaving.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm out of here. He survived because he is one of the rare characters in these movies who make the correct choice of just getting the F out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the meme about getting the F out of there in a horror movie, and he's the one that actually does it,
Yeah, he's the one that actually does it and survives through the rest of the movie. The only character besides Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega who don't get killed, and Paul Rudd even dies momentarily. Yeah. So
What did you think of, I'd mentioned, kind of that weird cosmic angle they took with the unicorns, having this power of life and the cosmos with the imagery and stuff?
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought that was neat.
I think that's a touch on unicorns that we haven't really seen. We've seen unicorns mostly as fairy princess material, and then occasionally we get something where unicorns are these majestic giant beasts that are powerful and wise and mysterious, and this is they actually took them this weird cosmic angle, which is, I thought, more interesting than we'd seen before.
They had to do a new twist to make them slasher villains.
Yeah.
Essentially. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a fun movie. It's not the deepest movie. It does have a social message of
fucking with the environment.
Yeah, messing with the environment, messing with nature to enrich oneself. You don't mess with nature. It's got that message to it.
I think one thing they did really well is just the way, once it's introduced to the rich family that this thing exists, they're very
oh
yeah, we'll do things responsibly. Yeah, and it's just it's a slide of them lying into pushing people into just doing more and more despicable things.
It's the fact that they're superficial. They're all talk.
Yeah.
On the surface.
Yeah, they're full of shit. They do a good job of the way they show that as the way that they hold that over everybody to get them on the same page as them, make them complicit with them, and just that kind of that evil of wealth kind of aspect. I think they did a good job of portraying that in a way that isn't so heavy-handed, because they had characters that were kind of fun, even though they were fucked up, especially Will Porter's character being kind of a fun character to watch, even though you hate him the whole time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think his character, out of all of them, his character was the most fun to watch.
Yeah.
Even though he's a total bastard. He's a total bastard.
Yeah.
And in fact, he's the only one of them that's the most unapologetically a bastard.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't even try to hide it.
Yeah. He's just completely self-interested.
Yeah.
When his parents are dying, he's just oh, that sucks. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. He does not care.
Yeah. So, what are your final impressions on Death of a Unicorn?
My final impression is it's a solid creature feature movie. It's not the best way. It's not the perfect. If you're going into the characterizations are for the most part pretty paper thin. You got a bunch of people to hate, and then they get brutally murdered, and that's the satisfaction in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the satisfaction in the film. The father-daughter stuff with Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega, I think, was mostly well done. It's satisfying enough. To me, it's a B. I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite movie, but it's good enough.
Yeah, it's a good, time filler, kind of, you've got some time to kill, check it out, kind of thing. It's not appointment viewing.
Right, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
It has some good performances, so.
The director may have worked under Eggers, but he is no Eggers.
Oh yeah, but this isn't trying to be Robert Eggers anyway. No, not in the slightest. So I can't fault him for that.
It is kind of weird, how it's oh, it's interesting how much lore is in the movie and stuff, and then I heard about him working for Eggers, and I'm oh yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, that tracks.
But yeah, so that is it for Death of a Unicorn. So you can check that out again on HBO Max right now. And it's just kind of a fun creature feature, as Will said. But that is it for our show. And we only have to talk about what's coming up next week, which next week is going to be our 200th episode of this podcast.
200 already. That's wild to me.
Consider our old podcast went 300 episodes.
Yeah, so we're
2/3 of the way there.
We're quickly catching up to where we left our old podcast. That's crazy.
Yeah. So this will be our 200th episodes. As usual, if you've listened to the show before, you know that every 25 episodes, we play a round of Advocates of Great Entertainment where we pick a theme, and then we each pick an episode of a show or a movie or something that fits within that theme to be an advocate for, and then we watch it. We both watch those two things and talk about them. This week, our theme for Advocates of Great Entertainment is great homages.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this idea, and it ties to what I ended up picking, because my mom was binging through Psych, just rewatching Psych. She'd watched it before, but rewatching it. And I happened to catch her watching the Friday the 13th episode, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that. And then I remembered they also did a Twin Peaks episode, and I was like, oh, that was so cool. And so when we were coming up with the theme, I said, let's do homage episodes. I don't think that's something that's covered that much, but it is kind of a trope. In the same way a Groundhog's Day episode is a trope. A Groundhog's Day episode, you could say those episodes were all homage episodes before, in a sense, but then it kind of became its own trope in a way. But there's a lot of homage episodes out there, but they're not that often discussed. You talk about homages like scenes and stuff, but not really episodes that have a focus like that. But we said that's what we're going to do. So my pick is, as I already mentioned, Psych Season 5, Episode 12, Dual Spires, which is a Twin Peaks homage that features much of the cast of Twin Peaks. And what's interesting about this to me is that, and we talked about this before the podcast, is neither you or I watched Twin Peaks until we were doing, not even the podcast. We started this when we were doing it as a roundtable discussion that was in text.
Yeah, and it was the first thing we covered.
Yeah, it was the first long form thing, because before that I think we did one about Lost, but it was a single thing, Whereas with Twin Peaks we were discussing batches of episodes every week, going through the entire run of the series. And then we ended up covering Twin Peaks: The Return, and we covered Fire Walk with Me and all that stuff too. But I hadn't watched Twin Peaks when I watched this episode of Psych, and I had watched Psych, but I never watched Twin Peaks when I'd watched this episode.
And I've certainly hadn't watched Twin Peaks when that episode of Psych aired, so yeah.
So this will be my first time watching this episode after I've actually seen Twin Peaks. Before I only knew the stuff in the cultural zeitgeist, I just knew oh, I knew who Laura Palmer was, I knew
so you can rewatch this now and you can pick out specific references.
Yeah. Because in a sense, we're almost like Twin Peak experts. We put so much focus on that show.
Much focus on it. Yeah, exactly. So I guess that must make the prospect of rewatching this episode more exciting.
Yeah. So I think that ended up being my pick. It's kind of what inspired the whole topic in the first place, so it had to be. Tell us about your pick.
My pick is Supernatural Season 5, Episode 5, Fallen Idols, which is a homage to House of Wax, specifically the House of Wax, I believe it was 2005 remake with Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
And 2005, that movie came out. And if you're asking why would Supernatural do a homage to a trashy slasher film from 2005, well, it's because Jared Padalecki had a starring role, was one of the main protagonists in that film. And
it's almost like an excuse to make fun of the actor.
Yes. And Supernatural, I think Eric Kripke must have loved doing this, where they would Jared Padalecki or Jensen Ackles would go off and do something a movie or something, and then they'd turn around, they'd reference it on Supernatural. That became a thing, and this was a whole thing too, because if House of Wax is about some deranged person who turns people into wax figures or whatever, and this episode of Supernatural is about a wax museum where the wax celebrities are coming to life and murdering people. So people are getting murdered by famous people. And again, like Paris Hilton was like the headliner, or was like one of the biggest stars in the House of Wax remake. And Paris Hilton appears in this episode.
Yes.
Of Supernatural.
As like the wax version of herself, yeah.
As the wax version of herself, yeah. So I thought, okay, that's a fun episode to cover. And it is a homage. It fits the theme, so yeah.
Yeah, so Supernatural is available to stream on Netflix. Psych is available to stream on Peacock. So check both of those out, and we will be discussing those next week for our 200th episode. So until then, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will. He is at Voxel Hero. You can also check out both of those same handles on Blue Sky. You can check out our website, thatwholescreen.com. If you go to our website and open up a container story for any of our podcast episodes, scroll down to the bottom paragraph. You'll find all of the links to our relevant social accounts, our RSS feed, our SoundCloud page, everything like that's all there. So you can check that out there if you need to find access to any of our content that way. You can get it through our website. You can also subscribe to our podcast, your favorite podcast plan of choice, like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Cast, and the entire backlog of our podcast, as well as additional content, is available on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotaliscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.